Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Pigskin Addicts. Back again with another video. So, guys, for today's video, we got a very, very interesting topic. This is something that I've been talking about a lot on Twitter, and my thoughts probably vary from a lot of your thoughts, but it's fine, right? It's fine. Everybody has opinions, and the good thing about football, right? The good thing about sports in general is that no matter which side of the fence you stand on, right? Whether, somebody's good, you think somebody's good, whether you think somebody isn't that good, right? We'll have a definitive answer sooner or later, right? Very rarely does, something like this go by without an answer. So we will have an answer sooner or later to this question, right? And this topic is very, very polarizing right now in Charger circles, right? Quentin Johnston, right? What is he, right? How do we explain his lack of playing time? I get that it's early, but you see a lot of other rookies making plays for their offenses, right? So a lot of people are asking, where has Quentin Johnston been? And this is a topic that I really, really cannot wait to get into. So let's not waste any time and let's jump right into it. So obviously, Quentin Johnston is not playing enough, right? And I would agree with that. Most Charger fans would agree with that. He's not playing enough. I think he should be playing more. I believe he got 9 snaps week 1 against the Dolphins and only 10 snaps, right, this past Sunday against the Titans. So that is something that is concerning to me. I have brought this up several times on Twitter, and I've talked about why it's concerning to me, right? The number one reason why it's concerning to me is because Josh Palmer is still the third wide receiver on the depth chart, right? Not that there's anything wrong with that in particular. A lot of people have been down on Josh Palmer. I think Josh Palmer is a good enough wide receiver, right? I don't think he is, super special. I don't think he'll ever make a Pro Bowl or anything like that. But I think he's good enough, right? And I think he showed enough in his first 2 years that he's good enough to be a serviceable wide receiver on, pretty much any team. But the fact that Quentin Johnston, first round pick Quentin Johnston, has not eclipsed him yet for that third wide receiver spot, I think it's a little concerning. It's not the end of the world, but I do think it's a little concerning just based off of who Josh Palmer is, right? Again, I think he's average. So this is a new offense for Josh Palmer as well, too, right? This is a new offense for everybody. It's not just that Quentin Johnston has to learn a new offense. All these guys had to learn a new offense. So, they're pretty much at the same starting line, right? If you take away, Palmer's, assumed chemistry with Justin Herbert, these guys are pretty much at the same starting line. Quentin Johnston has more physical gifts than Josh Palmer, right? So you would think that would eventually shine through at some point, right? That should be enough for him to overtake that third wide receiver position. It hasn't happened as of yet. So it's going to be interesting to see going down, the line, right? When you go down the schedule and you look at, some of the games that the Chargers have, right? They're going to be facing some really, really, really tough defenses coming up here, right? Even just within the next, 4 to 5 games, you're going to be playing against some pretty tough defenses. You're going to need a guy who has, some physical gifts, right, on the outside, right? And that is Quentin Johnston. He has the physical gifts. Now, right, just because he has the physical gifts doesn't mean he's a given, to be a starter, to be a star in the NFL, right? We get it. But it's concerning to me that a guy who is physically superior at the wide receiver position, right, has more athleticism, right, bigger, stronger, has more speed. It's a little concerning that guy is not overtaking a guy who is average, right, who's deemed to be average by, pretty much all of us scouts. Josh Palmer's average. He's an average wide receiver. So it's concerning that he has not overtaken him, for that position yet. But again, it's very, very early in the season. I don't think anybody should overreact. But, I think it's something that you can really look back at, right? If things don't pan out with Quentin Johnston, I think you can look back at this and say, okay, that was a problem, right? We should have known a little earlier. So it's just something to put in the back of your head, to really, really contextualize this conversation and to add, more context to it, right? Because you can't just say, Quentin Johnston's not good enough, right? What is he not good enough at, right? What are the things that he has to improve on? We heard Brandon Staley at the press conference. I believe it was 2 days ago. Talking about Quentin Johnston is improving. He didn't really go into details, but he said he is improving, and he expects him to play a little bit more as the season goes on. But what are those things that he's improving at, right? We don't know. We have no idea. So all we can do is just really wait and see week to week, right? Hopefully he gets on the field a lot more in week 3, but only time will tell when it comes to that. Now, I think the question is, he good enough, right? I do think he's good enough to obviously at least be a serviceable wide receiver in the NFL. But when you're looking at it from the standpoint of, can he do certain things that other receivers in the league can do, right? Again, only time can tell. I do know that there is like a little discrepancy, right? Can the things that he did in college, can they translate to the NFL? That is the biggest question mark for me, right? In college, he was known as a big yards after catch guy. But when you go back and when you deep dive and when you look at the college film, the way that he was being defended in college is not the way that he has been defended in the NFL so far. Free releases off the line of scrimmage, right? Just being bigger, faster, more athletic, and a better overall athlete than a corner in college, right? That'll get you a lot of catches. That'll get you a lot of yards. That'll get you a lot of touchdowns. It'll get you a lot of notoriety, right? Now, when you get to the NFL, the game is much more physical, and guys are way closer to you in athleticism than they are in college, right? You can run past the Iowa State DB, right? You can be physically, athletically superior to that guy, right? But in the NFL, week after week, right, very rarely are you going to come out and be physically superior than the guy that you are looking across from, right? Very rarely are you going to ever have that, right? You might be taller, you might weigh more, but to be a cornerback in the NFL, to be a starting cornerback in the NFL, you got to be a dog, right? And you got to be good. You have to know what you're doing, right? And obviously you have to be physical, right? Your athleticism has to really shine through, right? You're not just going to be some bum and not have any athleticism, right? You're going to have to meet that criteria, right? So when, you are a Quentin Johnston, right? When you are a rookie, you're coming out, you're lining up against guys who are just as physically superior as you are. So that advantage completely goes away, right? So now what do you have? Right now, you have to build chemistry with your quarterback, right? You have to be able to see the game, kind of like a quarterback, right? You have to be a maven when it comes to running routes, right? You have to know what you're doing out there, right? Just the way that I described Keenan Allen yesterday in that video, that's kind of the way that you have to be when you are not physically, athletically superior than the guy across from you, right? You have to go to other things to get that advantage, to get that edge. And to me, he's just not there yet. It's clear that he's not there yet, or else he would be playing. Again, I do think that he is good enough, but I think he's going to have to refine some of those things if he really wants to have an impact. And if he really wants to live up to the billing as a first-round pick, right? He's got to get on the field more. He's got to be somebody that, the offense can trust, Kellen Moore can trust, Justin Herbert can trust. He's got to be somebody that this offense can trust. So, to me, he's just not there yet, right? He's obviously not there yet. And again, time will tell. These answers, these questions eventually have answers to them, right? And again, good thing about sports. So we will have an answer here pretty soon. But I do think that it's a little concerning that he is not on the field as of yet. And number 3, right? Last but not least, I think the question can be asked, right? And this has nothing to do with him. This has nothing to do with anything that he's done. Does he fit this offense? Does he fit the Kellen Moore offense, right? And I think this is a question that you can ask now, because when you look at the Kellen Moore offense, right, he does a lot of different things with his wide receivers, right? He's very creative with the way that he uses his wide receivers. We've seen the screens, right? We've seen the jet sweeps to Mike Williams. We've seen how he likes to move these wide receivers around, right? He doesn't just want you running routes and just burying your head in the sand being a wide receiver. He moves guys around. He tries to create matchups anywhere that he can. Is he a fit for this offense, right? And this is a fair question, because when you look at the Dallas offense that Kellen Moore controlled over the past 4 years, right? You have guys like Amari Cooper, you have guys like CeeDee Lamb, you have guys like Michael Gallup, right? You have even the tight ends like Dalton Schultz, right? You have guys who can do a lot of different things, right? And those guys are completely different type of athletes, right? Compared to Quentin Johnston, right? Quentin Johnston is a good athlete, but again, his running, right, his route running is not fluid yet. He doesn't do a lot of things great behind the line of scrimmage. It kind of takes him a while to get going, right? I know he runs a 4.4, but all speed is not created equal, right? A 4.4 is his 4.4 was different than Deshaun Jackson's 4.4, right? Deshaun Jackson ran a 4.4 when he came into the league, but his 4.4 is much different. He can get at his top speed very quickly. It takes Quentin Johnston a while to get unwound, right? So when you're looking at what Kellen Moore wants to do, I don't know if Quentin Johnston fits this offense, right? Maybe he can come in and, adjust some things the way that he plays. Maybe Kellen Moore can adjust some of, his play calling. But just looking at it from the surface, right, he's not the prototypical guy that fits a Kellen Moore offense, right? Now, a lot of things can change. We're only on week 2. Nobody's pressing the panic button here. But I think these are legitimate and valid questions that we can ask. Is he a fit? Is he a fit, right? Can he fit this offense? Again, only time will tell. The answers will come shortly. So, in the meantime, I think Quentin Johnston, I think he has to continue to improve. He's got to work on his craft every single day. He should be staying after practice, right? Making sure that he understands what his job is, making sure that he understands what's expected of him. Because sooner or later, right, this is a 17-game season. We're 2 games in. We're going to need him at some point during the season, right? You look at Keenan Allen, you look at Mike Williams, right? We love Keenan, right? We know that he had that hamstring last year. He's kind of getting up there in age, right? So injury is entirely possible for him. Mike Williams, we know his injury history. Injury is definitely possible for him as well, too. And even to Josh Palmer, right? There's everybody across the board. Nobody is exempt from injuries when you play in the NFL. So the one thing that we do know, we need him to improve, because there's going to come a game, maybe several games, where we're going to have to count on him. We're going to have to count on him to run the right routes. We're going to have to count on him to make tough catches, difficult catches, right? We're going to have to count on him to have chemistry with Herbert, right, to get open, and to be able to make this offense, run at a very high level. He's going to have to improve, right? And the Chargers are going to need him at some point this season. So, that's all we can really say, is that we'll need him at some point this season. But I think all the other questions are valid, right? Is he the right fit? Can he play at this level, right? Can he play at this high level, right? Can he do some of the same things that he did in college? Or is he going to have to adjust his game? Is he going to have to make some changes? What's going to happen there, right? So these are valid questions for me, but again, nobody's pressing the panic alarm. We're only 2 weeks, into the season. So I think he's going to improve. I'm optimistic with him, right? And I think that he knows what's expected of him, right, going forward. He's got a little taste of the NFL now, 2 games in. He sees how things run, right, game weeks and things like that. So I'm looking for him to really improve, especially after the bye week. I think we're going to see a lot more of him. And if he continues improving, right, just like Brandon Staley says, then we should see more of him out on the field. We should see more snaps of him, as early as this week, right, against the Vikings. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. And I hope that he plays a big part in this offense. And I hope that he is somebody that the Chargers can rely on eventually. But I just wanted to come on here and talk about that. This has kind of been a topic on Twitter that a lot of people have been talking about. Where is Quentin Johnston at? Where's our first round pick? Again, everybody has opinions on it, but these are questions that will be answered shortly. So I'm, choosing to stay optimistic with him. I like what he brings to this team, and, hopefully he's a big part of our future. So that is all I got for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I really appreciate it. Shout out to all of my new subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Shout out to all of my old subscribers for holding me down. I really appreciate it. Very good to be back on YouTube. Very good. Thank you guys so much for the support. Cannot thank you enough. And until next time.